Hey everyone, welcome to 59 Topps Friday presented by Wax Pack Wisdom, where we talk baseball history through the cards we love. My name is Jake T. O'Donnell. We built the iconic 1959 Topps baseball set, and in this series we're going through every card to talk about the players, teams, and people who made up Major League Baseball in 1959. Today, we'll cover cards 515 to 522 in the set. Card number 515 belongs to Harmon Killebrew of the Washington Senators. 1959 was his sixth MLB season. Going into the spring of 1959, it was hard to foresee greatness for the young Killebrew. Despite 5 previous years spending time with the Senators, Killebrew had only appeared in 113 Major League games. But the trade of a franchise star led to a huge opportunity for Killebrew. 1959 was his breakout campaign, and he rode that success to a lengthy career that culminated with induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Killebrew was born in Payette, Idaho, and became a 4-sport star in high school, lettering in baseball, football, basketball, and track. The Senators signed Killebrew to a large bonus, and because of the bonus baby rules at the time, he was forced to be placed on the Major League roster in 1954 and made his Senators debut at the age of 17. All-star Eddie Yost had locked down Killebrew's natural third base position, and Killebrew was forced to play around the infield when he actually did play. Once the bonus baby rules expired after 1955, Killebrew spent the next 3 years shuttling between the minors and majors. After 1958, Yost was traded, and Killebrew finally had a shot at playing every day in MLB, and he lived up to his promise. Killebrew was twice an All-Star in 1959 and led the American League with 42 homers. Beginning in 1961, the Senators moved to Minnesota and became the Twins, and Killebrew was the star of the club. From 1961 through 1964, Killebrew hit at least 45 homers every season and led the AL in homers for 3 years in a row starting in 1962. He was a perennial All-Star from 1963 through 1971, making a total of 13 AL squads in his career. A versatile fielder, Killebrew played hundreds of games at first base, third base, and left field for the Twins. Minnesota won the pennant in 1965, and Killebrew hit a homer in his only World Series, but the Twins lost to the Dodgers. 2 years later, he tied Carl Yastrzemski for the home run title. In 1969, he arguably had his best season, playing all 162 games, leading the AL in homers with 49, RBIs with 140, and on-base percentage with 427, winning the AL's Most Valuable Player award. In 1971, Killebrew joined the 500 Home Run Club. His play began to decline after that, and when he and the Twins could not agree to his role for 1975, Killebrew was allowed out of his contract and signed with the Royals for one final season. After 22 big league seasons, Killebrew retired with 573 home runs, which at the time was good for 5th on the all-time list. His 8 seasons of 40 or more homers was second only to Babe Ruth at the time. In 1984, Killebrew became the first Minnesota Twin to be elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. He worked in broadcasting after his playing career and was a regular at sports memorabilia and card shows. Killebrew died in 2011 at the age of 74. Card number 516 belongs to Mike Garcia of the Cleveland Indians. 1959 was his 12th MLB season. Garcia was signed by Cleveland as a pitcher out of California, spent 1942 in the minors, and then served 3 years in the Army Signal Corps during World War II. Upon his return, he continued his minor league career in 1946, making it to the majors for one appearance in 1948. The Indians won the World Series that year, but Garcia did not pitch in it. He made the club out of 1949 spring training and made a strong impression, winning the American League ERA title at 2.36 and finishing 4th in League Rookie of the Year voting. Garcia, who earned the nickname the Big Bear, would spend most of the 1950s as a dependable starter for the Indians, although he was often overshadowed by his Hall of Fame teammates including Bob Feller, Bob Lemon, and Early Wynn. Nonetheless, Garcia was an All-Star for 3 years in a row starting in 1952. In the historic 1954 pennant-winning campaign for the Indians, it was Garcia who led the league in ERA at 2.64. Garcia pitched poorly in the third game of the World Series against the Giants, and he came on in relief in Game 4, yet the Indians were swept. Injuries began to catch up with Garcia, and his career as a starter was mostly over in 1958. After 12 years with the Indians, he spent 1960 with the White Sox, in 1961 with the expansion Senators, and then retired. He finished his career with 142 wins and a 3.27 ERA. Garcia bought a dry cleaning business outside of Cleveland and named it Big Bear Cleaners. He died in 1986 at the age of 62. Card number 517 belongs to Joe Kopp of the Philadelphia Phillies. 1959 was his second MLB season, and this is his rookie card. Kopp was born in Detroit, and his minor league career started in 1949. It took him 10 seasons to finally make it to the majors, which included stints with 7 different teams in 7 different leagues. He broke in with the Braves in 1958 for 16 games and then was traded to the Phillies for 1959. Copp was the Phillies' regular shortstop in 1959, batting .261 in 126 games. He was later traded to the expansion Angels, where he'd spend the rest of his big league career. Copp got the most playing time in 1962, where he was the Halos' starting shortstop. His final season was 1965, and his career ended with a .236 average in 578 games. He died in 2006 at the age of 75. Card number 518 belongs to Mike Cuellar of the Cincinnati Redlegs. 1959 was his first year in the majors, and this is his rookie card. It is worth noting that his last name is misspelled on the 1959 Topps card. Correct spelling of his last name is Cuellar. Cuellar was born in Cuba and enlisted in the Cuban Army as a teenager, knowing he could play baseball on the weekends while serving. After he was discharged, his pitching attracted major league attention, and he signed with the Reds in 1957. They optioned Cuellar to their minor league affiliate in Cuba, and he briefly made his MLB debut in 1959. He did not make it back into the majors until 1964 with the Cardinals, and was then traded to the Astros in 1965, where he became a regular in their rotation in 1966. A master of the screwball, Cuellar made the first of 4 All-Star teams in 1967, winning 16 games with a 3.03 ERA. Before the 1969 season, Cuellar was traded to the Orioles, and he flourished as a member of Earl Weaver's rotation. Cuellar would be a mainstay in a rotation that won 3 consecutive American League pennants starting in 1969 and also won the 1970 World Series. His 2.38 ERA and 23 victories earned him the AL Cy Young Award in 1969. In 1970, he led the AL in wins with 24, shutouts with 21, and games started with 40. In 1971, Cuellar and 3 of his rotation mates, Jim Palmer, Dave McNally, and Pat Dobson, all won 20 games, making the Orioles the first team since the 1920 Chicago White Sox to feature 4 20-game winners. Cuellar made his last All-Star game in 1974, and he led the AL in a winning percentage at .688. He'd spend the final season of his career with the Angels, appearing in 2 games in 1977. His MLB career ended with 185 wins and a 3.14 ERA in 17 seasons. Cuellar continued to pitch in Mexico into the 1980s. He served as a pitching coach for teams in Puerto Rico and also worked with Orioles pitchers late in his life. He died in 2010 at the age of 72. Card number 519 is the next multiplayer card in the 1959 Topps set, Infield Power, featuring Red Sox hitters Pete Reynolds, Dick Gernert, and Frank Malzone. Here's what Topps had to say about the trio on the back of the card. Power Plus is the term to describe the Boston infield with these 3 operatives in the lineup. Frank is one of the top hitting third sackers in the American League. Not only does he get on base with amazing frequency, but he has loads of power. When your team has a third sacker that can belt 15 homers and drive in 87 runs like Frank did last year, you're in real good shape. Dick Gernert cracked 20 homers with 69 RBIs last year in 122 games. Pete Reynolds had a great year and lost the American League batting championship on the last day of the season. He scored 103 runs and drove 59 more across. The Boston Red Sox infield is strong at the plate with these 3 batting masters, Pete Reynolds, Dick Gernert, and Frank Malzone. Card number 520 belongs to Don Elston of the Chicago Cubs. 1959 was Elston's 4th year in the big leagues. Elston pitched for the Cubs and Dodgers, albeit just 1 big league inning for the latter. Elston showed early promise in both basketball and baseball, but ultimately baseball won out when he attended a tryout for the Cubs in 1947 and signed with them shortly thereafter. In November 1950, a burst appendix set Elston back on his road to Major League Baseball. On September 17, 1953, Elston was one of 3 Cubs to make their Major League debut alongside Bill Moyzan and future Hall of Famer Ernie Banks. Elston was sent back down to the minors after the season and was later traded to the Dodgers, where he would pitch only a single inning in 1955. Elston was then traded back to the Cubs, where he would finish his Major League career. In 1958, Elston led the league in 69 games pitched. In 1959, he tied teammate Bill Henry for the league lead in appearances at 65. Elston made both All-Star teams in 1959 and enjoyed a career high of 10 wins that season. Elston still holds the Cubs record for most innings pitched by a relief pitcher in a career at 658 1/3 innings. He finished his big league career with a 49-54 record, a 3.69 ERA, 519 strikeouts, and 64 saves. Elston later worked as a regional sales manager and served as co-chair of the Chicago Baseball Cancer Charities. He died in 1995 at the age of 65. Card number 521 belongs to Gary Geiger of the Boston Red Sox. 1959 was Geiger's second year in the big leagues. Geiger was an outfielder who played for the Indians, Red Sox, Braves, and Astros. Geiger grew up in Illinois, where his parents owned the only grocery store in town. He and his siblings would use items from the grocery store such as paper sacks and broomsticks to play makeshift baseball games. After signing with the Cardinals as a pitcher, it became clear the Cards had enough pitching talent in the pipeline, and given the promise Geiger showed as a left-handed hitter, he moved to the outfield. He was selected in the Rule 5 draft by the Indians, where he made his big league debut in 1958. He made his only major league pitching appearance that year. Although not a remarkably strong hitter, particularly against left-handed pitchers, Geiger was a fast runner, once clocked at running from home plate to first base in 3.5 seconds on a bunt. Geiger is just one of 3 Red Sox, as of this recording, who hit an inside-the-park grand slam at Fenway Park. Geiger had a series of injuries that no doubt impacted his play. In March 1959, he collided with a teammate at spring training. In 1960, Geiger underwent an operation for a collapsed lung. And in 1962, Geiger crashed directly into the center field wall at Fenway Park while trying to catch a Tito Francona drive. And in 1964, he underwent surgery for a bleeding ulcer. Finally, in 1964, he sustained a triple fracture of the left hand diving for a ball. Geiger ended his baseball career with a .246 average, 77 home runs, and 283 RBI. He later worked as a building superintendent for a school. At one point, Geiger's ex-wife stopped forwarding his mail to him, and his daughter found 500 requests for autographs and gave them to him. He returned every letter. Geiger died in 1996 at the age of 59. Card number 522 belongs to Gene Snyder of the Los Angeles Dodgers. 1959 was Snyder's first and only year in the big leagues, and this is his rookie card. Snyder was a left-handed pitcher who appeared in 11 games for the Dodgers in the big leagues. He signed with the Phillies in 1950, but his playing time in baseball was interrupted by military service. At the end of the 1958 season, he was traded to the Dodgers to enter their farm system. He debuted as a sporadic relief pitcher for 4 months. After proving himself, Snyder was given 2 starting assignments with mixed results. The Dodgers won the pennant and the World Championship that year, although Snyder finished the season on July 14th before being sent back down to the minors for the remainder of the season. Snyder played in the minors until retiring after the 1962 season. He finished his MLB career with a 1-1 win-loss record, a 5.47 ERA, and 20 strikeouts. He died in 1996 at the age of 65. That's going to do it for this edition of 59 Tops Friday on Waxback Wisdom. Today's episode was written by Abby O'Donnell and Jake T. O'Donnell. Do you have a story about one of the people, players, or teams we discussed today? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our Waxback Wisdom content. In the video description, you'll find our source material for this episode, links to where you can follow us on all social media channels, as well as a list of our favorite nonprofits and charities. Please consider a donation to one of them if you enjoyed this content. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Waxback Wisdom. Take care.